only. Can't help yourself, can you, YouTube? Can't even have 4 minutes worth of video. Come to an end soon. All right, howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. All right, let's get this show on the road. Okay, here we are at Stereo A on February 1st of 2025. And while that loop's sitting there playing, I'm going to take a moment to thank you guys for taking a moment of your time to be a part of this precious family. You see, if you make it to the end of this report and you go through the spiritual report, you'll indeed find out who this family is and how precious this family is and how precious you are to me. Okay? All right. Having that said, let's get on with the show here. A little bit of different tripod setup, hopefully a little better now. All right, not much to look at. A bunch of spires though. Note all these spire regions growing, okay? And we're going to back out of this really quick because I want you to note that there is no data since the 29th. No data on the Soho coronagraph since the 29th, okay? So let's see if we can kind of pull this back just a tad bit. There we go. All right. So you can see that we had no data from Soho. Okay, so that's why we're using stereo A here. All right, that didn't work, but oh well. All right, and not much to see here. Just note all these spire regions. We're going to go back a couple of days here just to touch base with what we haven't covered. Here's yesterday's stereo A. Okay, little spits and sputters. There was this big blast right here, but you only caught a little one frame of it. Let me back up really quick. There's one frame of that. Let me increase the size here because that's what's going on here. That's why things didn't look right because it's not the right size. All right, now there you go. So just one frame, and you can see our dark little region. Let me get my pointer here. There it is. Okay, you can see our little dark round sphere right here with plasma draping around both sides of it. Not so visible on the difference model, but all in all, been pretty quiet around the sun lately. Okay, and we'll even go back another day here to the 30th, and you can see we had this little moon or another little object come flying out of there. Okay, so not much activity, just a few spits and sputters, few moons, satellites, whatever you want to call them, interacting with the sun as these spire regions intensify and grow in strength. So I have a feeling we got some more on the way. That's what those little spires are telling me, at least. You know, they act like compass needles pointing, you know, at an inbound object. So these things have well, a magnetic field, and they draw plasma off the sun in their direction, causing these little spires. Okay. All right, so there's your activity around the sun for the last few days. Not really much to see. That's why I didn't do a report last night or anything either. Well, let's come over here to our Kp index. You can see it's elevated right here. We'll get to that here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and start off here with our solar flux indice is elevated. It's up at 188, just 12 points shy of going into the red. You can see it came down 19 points. So at one moment it was in the red for a bit, but then came down 19 points. Our sunspot numbers, 145 and only up 4 more. Okay, so areas in the green. Just really quick, let's pop this open, zoom in on this, because this area has intensified. Okay, now each polarity is getting a lot stronger, very mixed, very like scattered. And a while back, we had a very intricate sunspot pattern like this, okay? And what ended up happening is we have all these different configurations of positive, negative. There's a really strong positive. Negatives, little ones all around it. So it could touch here, it could touch there. This one could touch here, that one could touch there. So there's multiple ways of having a spark jump from you know, these interacting polarities. Okay, there we go. Now it's coming in a little bit better. All right, so you can see how widespread, how blotchy this area is. Actually, you can't. Let's go in a little bit tighter. And slide this over. Okay, there we go. That's looking a little bit better there. Okay, so now you can see how complex this patch, this area is. And it's got several different numbers. 3981, 3978, 3976, 77 up here. Okay, so it's such a big patch and such a strong configuration that it's got multiple sunspot numbers too. Okay. All right, it's looking better there. So, and this is still turning to face the Earth here. So we got a bumpy week probably coming up here pretty soon. Okay, so now let's back out of that and slide on over and see how fluxed we are. Goes, whoops, where is it, Bart? Goes X-ray flux, that is. All right, there we go. Okay, yesterday you can see we had that M flare right there, and we had another little M flare, very impulsive, just really quick one right there. Okay, so pretty quiet activity on our sun overall, and you can see going into the next day here, very quiet. And there's nothing here on the chart to tease you with tonight because they haven't updated stereo A here. Let me just see. Yeah, see, there's still nothing there. Okay, so we can't really take a peek into the future, but it doesn't look like there's too much going on. But all in all, pretty quiet. Thankfully, no big CME impacts or anything, any geomagnetic storming. Okay, let me just zoom back out now a little bit so we get back to our regular programming. So your 3-day geomagnetic forecast, they're calling for G1 tomorrow. Okay, so we'll have to see what this solar wind's going to do. New insight. Thank you for asking, sir. I'm hanging in there the best I can. I'm doing all right, but this is pretty tough, pretty physically demanding. So, but managing to get better a little bit each day. Thank you for asking. All right, now back to our report. X flare potential 15%. I think it should be a little bit higher, especially with that complex sunspot region. Okay. Meanwhile, we had the two M flares. The M6.7 yesterday caused a little type 2 radio blackout. Also, whoops, the M2.5 there. This M2.5 right here. Okay. Also, your auroras. A little bit of yellow in here, starting to fill in a little bit. So our KP is climbing. All right. There's just a tad little hint of yellow in there. Not too bad. But you can see it just a tad bit there. So a little enhanced geomagnetic KP activity. Now we're going to come over to our KP here and check it out. For a while, we had like 0 and 1 on the KP. Okay. And then we went back to normal activity. Now it's kind of upticking and increasing slowly but surely. We have an uptick in our KP, and we've reached KP4 here, a little over 4. So we've had a few waves of energy off of the sun that increased our KP index a little bit. Okay, no serious, 8 and 9, nothing like that, but there is a slight little uptick here, and you can see it. Okay, all that energy gets directed to the poles absorb it down to the core heats up, swells, all that great stuff. Meanwhile, sunspot regions AR 3978 is beta gamma, 77 is beta gamma, and 3976 right there, now that is beta gamma delta. Okay, so we do have a beta gamma delta configuration out here, and 2 others that are beta gamma. And remember, all of those are right here, right next to each other. So one could touch another, could touch it this way, that way, zigzag. There's multiple ways that this could fire off. So I believe with multiple ways that increases your chances from more than 15%. Okay, that's my reasoning behind that, why I say that. Okay. And we all can agree to disagree. You guys can be the judge of that as well. Okay. All right. Solar wind stream flowing from tomahawk-shaped coronal hole number 11 is now moving past Earth at 600 kilometers per second. That's pretty fast. That's some of the highest speeds we see. Okay, currently, the currently active KP4 geomagnetic activity is being observed at higher latitudes. With any help from the interplanetary magnetic field, minor G1 storm conditions could still be observed at some point on Saturday. Also, notice a pair of filaments are currently located in the southern hemisphere. Okay, these guys right here. And this coronal hole has been taking on all kinds of weird shapes and looking like a face and all kinds of weird stuff. Okay. Now, let's do some lacking since we're lacking the tracking. Okay. Small, quiet little CME ghosting out there. All right, not even heading our way, so that's good news. Also, I want to point out over here, let's just pull this up a little bit bigger, can we, Lord? Spinny circles, spinning around and around. We're waiting for this in a little spiral. I just wanted to show you the uptick in speed on it because, well, if it don't take that long, you can see, density. So we have an uptick in density, and then we also have an uptick in velocity here. That's the speed, okay? So density, and then the density dies down, and velocity. So we're looking at over 600 kilometers per second. So almost 7, maybe right around there, okay? And that'll be around the second, the morning of the second. So that's when your velocity is supposed to hit. All right, now let's back out of that because it took way too long. All right, now just going over this real quick since I didn't do a report yesterday. A moderately strong solar flare measuring M6.7 with the R2 radio blackout was detected at 1406. The source was 3978 with interaction between AR36 located in the northeast quadrant. Did you catch that? The source was an interaction between 78 and 76. Remember I was saying they could jump from one sunspot to the other? Well, here we have our M6.7 was an interaction between two sunspots. The event is associated with a 10 centimeter radio burst measuring 280 solar flux units. Ooh, damn, it pushed the solar flux to 280, huh? Wow. Okay, a Type 2 radio emission with the estimated velocity of 673 was recorded. AIA 193 imagery shows plasma movement following the event, so a coronal mass ejection will be likely. The trajectory should be mostly to the east. However, updated coronagraph imagery will be required to determine if an Earth-directed component is associated. I suspect that the long-duration 6.7 solar flare around 3978 did produce a coronal mass ejection that is heading to the northeast and is likely away from Earth. There is currently a gap in the available imagery. A lot of gaps in a lot of data lately. Courtesy of LASCO 3, Stereo 2, blah. Okay, there's your M6.7 right there. So, let me just talk to you something about this. When you can see the light coming from it, if it's behind the limb, we're probably not going to get anything. But once it clears the limb and it's well past, the edge, it's you can see it. I mean, if you can see it, then we're going to get a little bit of the energy from it, okay? Regardless, I believe, okay? And you can be the judge of that as well. Okay, so enough of that. Let's move on to our spaceweather.com. Okay. Now, the solar wind has arrived. Earth is inside a stream of solar wind flowing from a large coronal hole in the sun's atmosphere. The sun doesn't have an atmosphere, by the way. It has a corona. Okay. Earth has an atmosphere. You can breathe. But with wind speeds topping 600 kilometers per second, the stream could spark G1 class minor geomagnetic storm activity on February 2nd. High latitude sky watchers, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool conjunction of Venus and the moon. All right, and what a cool capture here with the light coming off the tower here, or off of the not Empire State Building. Ay, caramba. Anyways, nice picture. Come over here, read the article if you want. I need more sleep. All right, let's get into our Schumann resonance now. All right, here we go. Pretty quiet all in all. Sun's quiet, we're quiet too. Funny how that works, This little black line right here is just a dropout in data, okay? It's not a stoppage of the core. A stoppage of the core looks a lot different. In fact, I can show you what it looks like on this Schumann resonance back in January 11th, when last year before, and they grounded all the flights. Anyways, there's your Schumann overall. A little bit of continuity, a little bit of weakness. All right. See these weak little gaps right there, right there. So all in all, pretty smooth, not a bunch of intense spikes, but some weakness, and that can still cause, irritation, frustration, anger, violence. Okay. So pretty good continuity. I'll take that. Not too bad of a roller coaster ride right now. It's like the kiddie coaster. Okay. All right. So moving on, let's go over to null school and get schooled in the null. You guys like it when I say that? No. All right, here we go. Really quick, let's just take a quick peek at our intertropical convergence zone. See, it's getting wavy and kind of oscillating up and down. It looks like it's starting to weaken right here in this region. Okay, so we're starting to see our intertropical convergence zone that got shunted north a little bit, starting to break down a little bit in its organization. Okay, so that's better. I wonder if I could go into there. I'm experimenting with a new tripod here, so bear with me. It's only to get the best visuals for you. All right, here we go. So there's your Earth. Let's go ahead and come up a little higher in altitude and check out our storms and our vortex rotation activity. Okay, we got one rotating right there. We got a couple of storms rotating out here. Crazy. This one's rotating that direction. This one the opposite direction. They're feeding in together, taking stuff way up way up over Alaska, and then it's finally coming down across Canada here. Okay, so a little different setup that we got going here. And like I said, our lower jet stream, which usually guides the storms and directs them and carries them along and stuff, is starting to interact with that layer now. And let's take a look at our polar vortex here. So now I don't see any sub-vortexes. It's just one main rotation now. This one over here on the side right there, I would almost count that as a sub-vortex, but this area of weakness right here, I mean, I want a really solid vortex before I call it. So that one looks to have broken down, and now our main vortex is a singular. It's no longer bipolar vortex, okay? And it's still got a kind of a weird shape to it, a straight edge, and then this round side. And if we adjust really quick to where it's associated with our country here, you can see that as it comes here and splits, this other sub-vortex is kind of disintegrating. It's still peeling away and bringing cold air right down into the middle of the country right there. Okay. Joseph, welcome. Hop on in. We don't bite. All right, there we go. So now you can see your cold air coming in from your polar vortex, diving into the middle part of the country, bringing cold weather and stuff to that region. Now what I want to show you here, there's your upper jet stream, and it is all over the place. There's no organization. It is just wonky. And, it can be wonky during spring and fall, during the transition seasons. But usually summertime and wintertime, you start to see, some organization. That looks more like a regular jet stream pattern than all this. Okay, so now we're going to go, that's your upper. We're going to go to the lower jet, okay? And they're pretty similar in shape and size and stuff. And this is what usually guides your storms. Okay, now we're starting to see a combination of the thermal effect from down below mixing with this lower jet stream, and they're competing for dominance of control of the what direction the weather's going. So there's your weather at 850, lower jet at 500. Here's your barrier in between. Now this is going to look all funky and stuff because it's a blend of your lower jet stream and your thermal activity together in one. Okay, so that's your intermediary boundary where the two elevations are colliding. Okay, so now we're back down to 850. You can see that we got this blank spot right there still. That's for a reason. The rest of the world's having weather. And you can also see that we're getting a little flow coming in off the Pacific, coming into the West Coast there. All right, and that'll pertain later on to our weather. Now let's come on over and do our SO2 report. Okay, sulfur dioxide, not carbon dioxide. All right, and the reason why we do a sulfur dioxide report is because there's volcanic activity all over the world on a scale that is, well, frightening for most. Okay, here we go. Coming on in. There's your country divided. Okay, one side bleeding out, very soft crust, spongy crust. So it just oozes SO2. Okay, it's just so porous that SO2 can just ooze out of the ground. On the west side here is more mountainous granite type ground, so it's thicker, harder for pathways. Your perforations are more volcanic in nature. There's your country divided. Okay. And we do a fire report along with this because SO2 comes out of the ground so hot that if it's in a forested area, it can cause spontaneous combustion around any kind of vegetation surrounding the site. Right now, nothing up in Canada. The activity in California has tampered down. But what I want to point out here, and this is also going to tonight's earthquake report, our fulcrum point right here at the Juan de Fuca. All right, we're talking about this spot all the time, every night, or every time we do a report. We're always talking about the fulcrum point here at the Juan de Fuca. Now on land, inside or off of the fulcrum point on land, we're seeing a very strong SO2 emission site. Okay, now it hasn't done anything yet, but if we get a little impulse from the sun and we get an uptick in pressure, well, that could push out some more SO2. You could possibly catch a fire in this area. All right, as we come on down, you can see the one in LA has really diminished in size and strength. The one up here is even bigger than the one in LA now. All right, so LA, San Diego, still having SO2 emissions, but not sparking fires right now. Okay. In fact, no fires for right now. But one of these nights when that activity kicks up, you will see it plain, nice and clear. Oh, so we're going to go around the world here real quick. Take a little peek through Mexico. Okay. They have SO2 emission problem too. Every place does now. Okay, we come through the Caribbean. There's Cuba, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. Oh, there's more. They're smoking lots of sulfur there. All right. Coming over here, you can see all these islands right here are all spewing SO2. They're all having their own little SO2 emissions. They're all volcanic islands. Okay, come down through South America. You can see all these individual sites. We come down the west coast of South America here. I'm going to stop off at the fulcrum point and the plate boundary offshore here. There's also a fulcrum point on land. So there's your pathway of least resistance at the fulcrum point, spewing SO2. It's a good indicator of pressure. And we see fluctuations in this spot. So tonight, not too bad about our regular activity. But look at this. This one's getting more organized. It's got a couple little small red fires next to it, but I don't count those because, well, people in this region still use campfires to cook with and to heat their homes with. So otherwise, very organized, very well, a good organized spot right there. Both of those are good indicators that we got some pressure still going on. All right. Really dark emissions down through here. Lots of SO2 coming out, so much so it makes a nice little SO2 plume out in the Pacific there. All right, so there is your SO2 report on that side of the world. come on over here to Hawaii. Okay, the Pacific Rim, much like a bicycle rim, has a hub, and Hawaii is the hub of the Pacific Rim. And taking a peek at Oahu, it's got some pretty strong SO2 emissions. All three islands do. But then we have Hawaii actually having volcanic activity. Okay, so there's the hub of the Pacific Rim. Now let's come on over. Actually, got to adjust for their time zone. Sorry, I'm working with a different mouse now too. So, all right, the bruise on the face of the planet, China, and you can understand why. They got very porous crust too, very soft, spongy. When I say sponge, I mean all the pores, the nooks and crannies, all the different little pathways to the surface. Okay, so that's what I mean by spongy. It's not like you step on it and water squeezes out. It's just very porous. Okay, and it oozes lots of SO2. This region that was all just white, okay, and blocked off a lot of that SO2 emissions. We're starting to see SO2 emissions in that region now. Look at that, you guys. That's up in the desert there too, where that's been compacted. The Gobi Desert used to be a sea at one time. It's all compacted. Meanwhile, here at India, following suit, they got some strong emissions, and this material wants to go blowing away, but the Himalayas block it and keep it from going over the Himalayas. So it just keeps sitting there and recirculating, and growing in concentration in that region there. Okay, and you can see why, because the Himalayas kind of block it from getting out of there. Also, we come over to the Middle East here, okay, and you can see that this area is filling in too. Okay, they're having SO2 emissions and also methane emissions in this region. Okay, and methane being a flammable gas, all it needs is the air. It comes out of the ground at temperatures that are already spontaneous combustion. So all it needs is oxygen. And as soon as it breaks through the sand or the dirt, it catches on fire, and they have open flames, a pit with flames shooting out of it, starting to pop up in the deserts out there. Okay, so SO2 and methane emissions in this region getting pretty intense there. And as you can see, it's all over the world. Now, 7 years ago, there was four of these little dots along California, and everybody in the internet freaked out. Oh, it's the big one. Well, now there's millions of dots all over the planet, and nobody bats an eye, except me and you. All right, now coming into our relief valve region here at Java, you can see nice and dark purple, lots of emissions coming out of there. Okay, so SO2 and volcanic activity on this island relieve a lot of the pressure that's coming up from down below. So that's why I call it like a relief valve, because it has lots of pathways to the surface. Okay, and that's what this gas is trying to get out. So, oh, whoa, a wrench. Yeah. Alrighty, as you can see, these islands off of Sumatra right here also emitting SO2 because they're volcanic islands as well. Okay, relief valve there. Yes, risk 603 is here. Good. All right, as we come into Taiwan region, you can still see SO2 emissions coming out of here. This is also a fulcrum point on the plate boundary. Okay, so it's another relief valve, except we haven't been seeing earthquakes at the fulcrum point. Lately, we've been seeing them on this plate boundary on the back side of the island, and that's where the city and most of the people are. Okay, so earthquake activity happening on the backside plate boundary instead of right up here in the fulcrum point. All right, showing some decent emissions. Japan, being a volcanic island, has SO2 emissions. We come up through the Kamchatka. All right, you see North and South Korea. Everybody's got it. Philippines, whole world. All right, then we come on over really quick here to this little island. We'll stop off here for Mai Tai. All right, so this little pencil-shaped island, little boat-shaped island has two good, strong SO2 emission sites at it, okay? And that helps relieve pressure along the plate boundary, in that region, keeping magnitudes and activity down. Okay, it doesn't stop all of it, but it keeps the magnitudes down and the frequency of earthquakes, because it's like a slow leak in a bicycle tire. It eventually leaks out. All right. The valve stem being Fiji, where the deep quake region is. Okay. Also here, Home Reef Island is a new island. It was a seamount on the ocean floor, much like the axial seamount. Okay. But this one got so big and so tall that it finally broke the surface of the water and is now an island. And it's still continuing to erupt and emit SO2 emissions. Currently erupting volcano right there, Home Reef too, by the way. All right, so there's your SO2 report. Now let's get into, we didn't do a sandstorm, did we? Let's just back out a little bit and do a quick sandstorm report. Woo! Look how intense those plumes are. A bunch of white blotches, still intense white out here over the Atlantic. That's strange. Usually your white blotches are over land. Rarely do I see the intensity of the white on this over the water. And let me just pull up the color chart for you. You can see white being your more intense. Okay, so white being the denser plumes. Look how dense this double plume is way out in the Atlantic. That's And look how much sand and dirt and dust being blown from Africa across the Atlantic, just burying South America. Okay. Coming over to this region, you can still see the eyes are there, but not as intense tonight. This one a little bit, not too bad. Okay, and blowing all the way across China and Australia, also having its own independent sandstorm. Okay. All righty, I think that covers it. And see, it's even making it to America. Gets caught up in the storms. The storms, either dilute it or intensify it. You got patches where there's none, and then it all collects together on the backside, and you see no part of the world is immune from this. It's even up at the North Pole now. All right, enough sandstorm. Let's get on with our the chemicals. Let's do the ocean now. Okay, your sea surface temperature anomalies for January 31st. All right, still kind of up to date. It takes a day to compile all this information and put it into this map, so that's why it's always a day behind. Okay, so let's get into the West Coast region here. You can see that we have a couple of these little hot patches off the West Coast starting to intensify some more right here. That's right outside the Golden Gate Bridge right there. Okay, so a little plume of heat growing out in the ocean there. Meanwhile, up here at your Juan de Fuca, comes out, zigzags on up. You can see inside the plate still growing heat. All right, still growing pressure. Some of it kind of creeping under the ground right here. It looks like, all right, there's your region going up through Canada. That spot up in Alaska, our intense spot has kind of, it's still intense, but it's not as big in size. Okay, so it's diminishing. So a little bit of good news to report there. Okay. All right, now we got these two plumes in the Gulf of America here, and our secondary, or the this other one on the left that had diminished in size, is kind of returned back to its normal size. And then we have this even growing stronger. Okay. And you got seamounts on the ocean floor that are emitting hot water, magma, heavy metals, no matter what, gas, very hot. And that heat rises up through the water like a column. And then when it hits the surface tension, it blossoms out. And you can still see some of this activity going on there. Let's come on down to here. Java being a relief valve, it relieves so much pressure in the area that cold water is allowed to get in there now. So you're seeing cold water inundation around Java there. Cold water inundation around, actually, right up here where our fulcrum point is, we have this new opening on the ocean floor right there that's relieving pressure. So any kind of pressure that builds up under this fulcrum point right here is getting relieved at this open vent. So it's keeping earthquake activity and magnitudes down at the fulcrum point. Meanwhile, you see this intrusion of heat coming up the backside of Taiwan right here, this little region right there. It grew and then receded and then grew, now it receded. Now it looks like it's growing again. Okay, and that's what's been causing some of the earthquake activity here in Taiwan. Okay, so a little uptick right here. This is returned to this region, so watch out for earthquakes in Taiwan again. Whoops, where am I going? All right, I think I'll just kind of go around really quick. You can see Australia. See this massive patch out there in the South Pacific. Also off the coast of South America here. A couple of openings here, and then you could actually see the plate boundary zigzagging down into the town or into the bay right here. That seems to retreat a little bit. You can still see this little line right here coming down, but then from here to the bay, it's kind of disappeared. So a little change. Meanwhile, this side of South America having all kinds of issues over there. Tip of South Africa. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and put on the winds because the warm and cold waters create hot and cold patches of air. So hot air rises, cold air rushes in to replace it. So you're seeing vortex activity that's being induced because of your thermal patterns down below. And you can see, like, for instance, you can see the rotation right there. This is spinning, sucking cold air into it. This air heats up, rises. When it rises, it cools. Once it gets up to a certain level, it cools off and sinks back down. So that's why you're getting rotation. It's hot air rising, cold air sinking. And it's right around your hot patches. It doesn't necessarily have to have a cold water patch next to it, but just less than one side or the other. So you can see extreme heat as opposed to medium heat causing rotation. Go. All right, coming over to the Pacific side. Take a little peek right there. Now, you can still see a correlation with your heat and thermal structures, but then some places aren't matching up like they used to because we're having influence from the from the lower jet. Okay, so you can still make out, though, plenty of thermal activity still going on. But we're also having a little blend now with the lower jet stream as well. All right, you can also see onshore, the rotation of this and the opposite rotation of this one is now feeding moisture right into California, Oregon border right there, and you're getting your atmospheric river effect, okay? So your atmospheric river starting to take shape over here because of this thing rotating counterclockwise and this one rotating clockwise. And you got onshore winds down here in LA. Okay, no more Santa Anas. Offshore winds are way down here now. Okay, so just one little shift in heat, one little opening can change these configurations, these conveyor belt type structures, and start sending weather to different places now. Okay, also, we still have this southern fetch. See how air is going across the Gulf of America over this warm, hot, moist air. Okay, so very warm, very humid air for wintertime. Okay, wintertime is usually drier air. but not in the south right here. They're still having humidity like summertime, all right? And this warm, humid air collides with cold air coming down from Canada. Where those two combine is where you get your severe weather, your icing, and everything like that. Okay, all because of our conveyor belt structures that have been, well, induced by the thermal patterns down below. There we go. One big conveyor belt right here going again. It doesn't really connect up here. It's more kind of going straight across, but one huge center of rotation right here. So you got one big vortex out in the Atlantic, and you can see this well, train type effect where it keeps guiding stuff at Ireland, England, France, and Spain region. And in the openings, I've been showing you a lot of devastation out of those regions because of the thermal effects on the ocean floor, causing weather that's just devastating them. Whew. Okay, let's take a peek around up here. And down here. Yeah, look at this one big vortex right here. It's starting to go this conveyor belt type structure. Did you? Okay. All right. So there's your thermal report. Look at all this heat starting to approach India on both sides of India out here in the ocean. These two patches right here filling in lately. All right, there we go. Also, just touch base with these thermal patches right here that are in the causing your convergence zone to shift. Okay, so we still got a few of these little patches out here, but you can see our La Nina trying to take effect here, trying to get organized again. But every once in a while, a new patch on the ocean floor opens up and ruins it, and then has to start over again. All right, take the wind off, and let's get to our earthquake report. Okay, the USGS. Okay, do a few modifications here for your viewing pleasure. Close that, get that out of the way. All righty. Let's come on over to our deep quake region where we usually start here, Fiji. Okay, a lot of pressure in the region. We had some activity, deep activity a couple days ago, and now we're starting to see some of that pressure make its way to the surface now. So a bunch of deep quake region or deep quakes in this region have produced. Well, here's a 5 at 191. That's not super deep, but that's a volcanic activity or activity at a volcanic site, and a magnitude 5. So a little uptick in magnitude. Again, here right at the plate boundary, we haven't seen a quake here in a long time until what? Just a couple of days ago. So a couple of days ago, we finally seen a quake at the very beginning of the plate boundary system right here, like used to be our normal activity. Well, now it's reduced, but we're finally starting to see a quake here, and it's a 5-1 at the surface. So that tells me mid-range 4 went off, and we're seeing 5 at the surface right there. Even though we have pressure being relieved here, so much is building up in this region now that this emission out of this island isn't enough to keep up with the building pressure and stuff. So we're starting to see quake activity at the very beginning of the plate boundary system. Meanwhile, really quiet through here because, well, we got a lot of active volcanoes in that region. Coming into this one right here, our deep quake region here, another 5 at the surface. Okay. 4-4 down at 69. 4-4 at 80. 4-8 now at the surface, so almost a 5 scrubbing energy at the surface right there. This little guy right in there, mid-range 4 down at 52. That's at a volcanic feature. Look how quiet it is in this region. No quakes, and we have a lot of heat building up in that region. So you'll probably see some quake activity here real soon. Okay, fulcrum point right here. We haven't seen a fulcrum point quake up here in a long time. This is darn close. It's right at your weak zone along the beach right there where you got water inundated sand. So 4.4 down at 59, right next to this little volcanic feature, looks like too. All right, no fulcrum point quake, but then we had that one right next to it. We'll get into America last. Save the best for last. Here in Nepal, 4.2 at the surface where we saw our big quake earlier this year. So still a path of least resistance, still a weak spot right here. You're getting earthquake activity at your little spot there. Nothing in Iran. A couple of quakes over here today. Oh, more than a couple. A 4.4 down at 41. 4.2 at the surface. 4.2 at the surface again, and a 4.2 at the surface. So a little bit deeper right here with your 4.4, and then a bunch of 4.2s right surface right there. A little weak spot growing. You see this right here? That's an old volcano crater. It's filled in with water now. Okay, so this volcano surrounded by earthquakes right around it. I bet you this magma is pushing up through this column. Brian, can you tell whether mod is being used? Can I tell whether weather modification is being used? Is that what can you tell when weather mod is being used? Yeah, and it's a little different modification. Okay, we'll explain that in the spiritual report, but that's a good question. Yeah. You can tell when it's being used when you see your chemtrails all over your skies. That modifies the weather. It tampers down the sunlight. Okay, so reducing storm productivity with less sunlight, keeping radiation out as well. That's our main issue is radiation. Okay, let's get into America. All magnitude America. All right, get off there. All right, coming into where we left off, fulcrum point. As we come into our islands here on the Aleutians here, a 4.1 at the surface, 4.4 down at 75. So that's a volcanic or earthquake at the volcanic island right there. So a couple of 4s out there. It's a little uptick in magnitude out in that region. 3.4, that's normal. Okay, so close out. You can see microquakes going right up your fulcrum point, back down the other side, coming into our fulcrum point region. And you can see that we have this nice little lineup of quakes coming and pushing inland too. So let me just get a little closer. Plate boundary 2.6, 2.2, fulcrum point 2.5, 2.5, 1.9, pushing inland 1.2. All right, all of those combined right there. Should get a math formula to find out what they all add up to, but just say for instance, that could have been a magnitude 5. All those put together just grab like, magnitude 5 worth of energy in that region. And when we come over here, your fulcrum point, we got cold water inundation in that region, but we still have hot water and pressure coming up inside the plate right there. It's probably right about there's your axial seamount. Okay, so it's spewing hot water, magma. There's other seamounts around that are doing the same little thing too. Okay, so there's your cold water inundation right in that region. Earthquake activity, relieving pressure. So much pressure in that region that started to push SO2 out of the ground. So much needed earthquake activity to relieve the pressure in that region. Okay, as we come into Northern California, that one kind of just 1.8. Geysers going off, relieving pressure like they usually do, keeping magnitudes down as they come into the North Bay. We got a couple of them here. They're 1.5s. What's that on that? 2. All right, so nothing too bad for the Bay Area, just your normal 1.5, 2 kind of activity. We still have this spot out here in Yarrington that continues. Every time the Juan de Fuca stops, this place lights up. 3.2 is your biggest one. So still continuing to see activity at a new weak spot, new path of least resistance spot out there in Nevada. Very quiet around Southern California, out in the desert. Very minimal activity here. You can see our eyeball type structure. Very quiet tonight. And I showed you there was no heat or pressure as much in that region. Okay. Man-made perforations in the crust causing 2.4. Yeah, not too bad. All right. As long as we're not seeing 3s and 4s in Texas. Oh, here we go. Fulcrum point quake on your New Madrid here, 2.4 in Illinois. And that's a shallow quake at 5. All right, little indicator. There's still a path of least resistance at this fulcrum point in the New Madrid, okay? It's a weak spot to kind of remember here. Now, we have a new quake up here. It's not much, but 2.2 in New York could trigger a tsunami alert because they don't have quakes. So just a little reminder, path of least resistance, little weak spot still in that area. Okay. We didn't do South America, did we? 4.9 here by Honduras. Couple with this. Fulcrum point on land, pushing the other way. It's pushing that way. 5.1 at the surface. And what was the other one there? 5.1 and a 4.5 aftershock. Okay. New little spot, new path of least resistance, some weak spot right here. And as we go topographical, gee, see any volcanoes nearby? Like this and this, that, they're all around that area. So this is like the foothill, the hill region where your weak zone is. Weak zone on the fulcrum point on land, 5.1. So a little uptick right there. We're going to have to watch this region too. Fulcrum point, well, just south of the fulcrum point, 4.4 at 115 and 4.8. We got a lot of SO2 emissions along here, keeping pressure down, relieving pressure in the region, keeping magnitudes at mid-range 4s. Meanwhile, out here, you can see your 3-way, 4-way fulcrum point right here, basically almost a hole, with another one right here, right below it. Okay, and those two, oops, are right there. Then our plate boundary, you see our red zigzag line coming down and ending right, the plate boundary right next to the bay. Well, here's your plate boundary zigzagging down, and the other night it finished off and went right to the bay right there. So it seems to receded a little bit. You can still see some out here, but this little spot right here isn't as bad as it used to be. Okay, so that relieves a lot of pressure in that region, keeping magnitudes on this plate boundary down. No earthquakes on the plate boundary at the fulcrum point or anything. It's all on land. It's not on the plate boundary because, well, we have this big patch of heat, pressure being relieved in the form of these seamounts. Michael and South Sandwich Islands, 4.9. You know what we do with those at the surface. I was thinking about this spot the other day. When we see pressure come down into this region, there's a fulcrum point or like a little curve right here, and then it wants to come in and cross New Zealand. So they got lucky it was out in the water. 4.7 scrubbing energy at the surface. That's good. Alrighty, I think that covers everything. Nothing in the Atlantic. Nothing. Whoa, nothing way up there hiding. Okay, good. All right, so there's your quake report. Sun fires off energy at us. We absorb it at the pole, or it gets diverted to the poles. The poles absorb it down to the core. The core heats up and swells. The outer core heats up and swells. Magma in between us, that core and the crust, heats up and swells and wants to push up through the crust at any point of least resistance. And that's called a volcano. And we got all kinds of volcanoes popping off now. Okay, so 7 years ago, when all this stuff started happening to me, there was only one volcano that was active, and it was just the one in Hawaii. If I'd have told you back then, hey, 7 years from now, you're going to have 75 volcanoes, you would have said, Brian, you're crazy. Well, here we are 7 years later, and 75 volcanoes, and I'm counting 38 currently erupting and 37 in warning. I'm not even counting these ones in unrest. We could add them in there, but I don't. I just stick with these two. So it's a conservative number, right? That is 75 active, if not erupting volcanoes. 7 years ago, you would have said I'm crazy. Well, here we are, and I am still crazy about you. Shall we get into this? Pressure from down below, pushing up through the crust, causing currently active volcanoes like these ones. All right, Suwanosejima, 4,000 feet. Kenalone, 9,000. Ibu, I be with you at 8,000 feet. Ooh, 2,400. Luatobi, Flores, nothing to report. Semaril, probably 14 or 15. Dempo, Popocatépetl, 19,000. That's a pretty tall blast. Anything over 10,000 feet, it takes a lot of pressure to blow stuff 10,000 feet in the air and higher. Santa Guido, 14,000. Nevada del Ruiz, sporadic emissions. Here's Reventador at 14.5. Okay, and that's just in the last few minutes. Because here's February 1st, which is now yesterday, because, well, time flies at this channel. And you know what? Technically, it's February 2nd now, so happy Groundhog Day. Happy Groundhog Day. All right. Let's get into this. Whoops. Backward. So, there's your map of insanity. Okay, there's red or currently erupting. Also, right along this plate boundary, so many volcanoes relieving pressure in that region, keeping earthquake activity and magnitudes down. There's 6 currently erupting in the Kamchatka. We got Stromboli and Etna, a couple here in Africa. Bartabunga, add that one now to Iceland. Here's your home reef, Kilauea. All these are currently erupting. That's just insane. And don't forget, you have a currently erupting volcano on the continent of Antarctica. So no continent is free of this volcanic activity. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Canalone. Okay, Ibu, I be with you at no elevation tonight. Semaril, still 14,000 probably. Popocatépetl, 20. So there's a 20,000 foot blast out of the volcano at Mexico City. This guy should really go to Oil Anonymous. Santa Guido, 14,000 feet. Nevada del Ruiz, 20,000. Reventador, 13,000. Okay, and that's your little volcano report. I could even do one from yesterday, but you guys want to get to the spiritual report, so we're not going to drag it out too much longer. Ready for your tidbits? Everybody put out your hand. Here we go. It's tidbit time. Tropical tidbits. Yes, all kinds of fruity tropical flavors. Oh, and some models for the guys. You guys want to see some models? Oh, sorry, they're forecast models. Okay, so added particulates, added moisture means added rain, heavier downpours, larger storms, taller thunderheads, larger hail, stronger winds, everything that goes along with weather just intensified. Okay, and then we got the spiritual realm playing the music, and then you've got man with his weather manipulation tools trying to fight back. Okay, that's what's going on. They're trying to fight back against the weather, because the weather, if they weren't doing that, none of us would be here right now. The weather would have gotten so bad, but it's steadily increasing. All right, and they're fighting as hard as they can. Current conditions right now, nighttime of the February 1st, okay? On the Pacific coast here, severe weather on the foothills of the Sierras. You got snow and stuff moving into the Washington area. Here's your Pineapple Express, your atmospheric river coming in. Snow up here, so going into the tomorrow morning of the 2nd. Punxsutawney Phil's not going to see a shadow because he gets struck by lightning. No, I'm joking. You can see severe weather for Northern California. All right, I'm not even really going to focus too much on this because our latest event is going to be here in Northern California with heavy amounts of rain, flash flooding, mudslides, all that stuff that goes with it. So, current conditions right now, and I'm just on the backside of the Sierras, and it's raging, so I'm sure it's raging on the front side there. Morning of the 2nd, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 3rd, noon. You see continual severe weather up here. This is severe weather out off the shore approaching the coast. So you can see water spouts making landfall in Northern California there. And heavy snow on the coastline right there. Tomorrow night. Or no, noon of the 3rd. My bad. Oh, this mouse is weird. It's got a mind of its own. All right, there's the convection of the 3rd, nighttime the 3rd. Morning of the 4th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 5th, noon, convection. Whoa, 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 nighttime. Whoa, 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 back up. Cold air right back in here. You see it all the way through this area. Even though it's not snowing, that's still a cold air ridge line coming down right there. And you can see your icing events starting to take place here because this cold air slides underneath this warm, moist air. So super cold air sliding underneath moist air. Well, when this rain falls out of the sky, it falls down through that cold air layer and freezes. It's actually warmer up high than it is down below because the cold air sinks now. It slides underneath this mass and is causing icing there at the noon of the 5th. Let me back up really quick because this is going to be a severe event. Here you see your storm. When we get this patch of rain popping up by, all right, there's convection of the 4th, so nighttime the 4th. If we start to see this taking place right here, it's on because it just blossoms from there. Collides with that cold air. That's the noon the 5th, convection the 5th, nighttime the 5th, morning of the 6th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 7th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 8th, noon, convection. See, they're coming, they're about to kiss. And they make babies. Convection of the 8th with another round of ice. Nighttime the 8th. Morning of the 9th. Noon. Convection. Nighttime 10. More ice on the 10. Noon. Convection. Nighttime. 11th. Morning of the 11th with scattered little ice pockets all going down this boundary. That could change. This is all subject to change. We're so far out in the future here. But here we go. Severe weather with icing of north of it. Noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 12th, noon, convection, nighttime. More. Look at this icing in California. And what the heck? Look at that. Even out here in the West Coast, you're seeing icing on the convection of the 12th, nighttime the 12th, morning of the 13th. Look at that. Morning of the 13th. Noon, convection, nighttime. 14th, noon, convection, nighttime. 15, noon, convection, nighttime. 16, noon, convection, nighttime. 17, noon, convection, nighttime. Okay, that's as far out as we can go. Please. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit that loop. For you people on the West Coast, it's going to be continuous day and day, a few days of rain, severe weather. You guys over here, you're going to have icing and then another event, then another event. So that cold air coming down out of Canada colliding with that warm, moist air coming out of the Gulf of America here. So causing your icing storm conditions, all of this wonky weather. Put it right there for a second. In the West Coast, you people in Northern California, prepare for flooding. We did some water mitigation stuff in preparation for this storm on the backside of the Sierra because we're getting heavy amounts of rain already. But you can't stop the water, but you can change its direction. You can mitigate it. So there are things you can do, clearing out, little creek beds, storm drainage that are covered up, all kinds of different things you can do to keep water flowing, to change it and flowing different directions, but you can't stop it. All right, so you can prepare for it at least, though. And in Northern California, there were fires up there, so you might see burn scars with get some mudslides, stuff like that, okay? And lots of water that could, all the side effects that come with that. Just use your imagination. I mean, the list is so long of all the things, I couldn't name them all off. Also over here with these icing events, you people in the east there, prepare for power outages. The ice clings to the cables. It clings to tree branches. Tree branches come down, take out the power lines. So usually ice storms entail power outages. And, of course, traffic snarls, travel delays, conditions like that, all right? So it's important that you keep an eye on your weather and try to get as big a head start as you can on your preparations because time flies so fast and these weather systems can creep up on you before you know it. And it's just better to be prepared. And, the mainstream media isn't doing their due diligence really in reporting and in warning people, I think. They'll report on the storm, but they won't really warn people, hey, look at this ice storm that's coming. Anybody that's in that 200-mile radius, evacuate. Or, prepare to be stuck in your house for the whole month. Something like that, you know what I'm saying? Ooh, what was that comment? Brian, what caused the massive snow in NOLA in Louisiana? I showed you these huge cold air pockets that are dropping down like that. And we'll come over here really quick to your thermals. I'll show you really quick here. Let's put the wind on. Yeah, okay. All right. When you have activity out on the Pacific like this, that's not allowing a lot of storm activity to come on land, it's been shunting and driving a lot of stuff up into Canada and over this ridge right here. So air gets up into here where it's cold. It gets shunted over this ridge and then comes back down. It's colliding with warm, moist air out of the Gulf. This is your water source. There's your cold. Now it dipped so far south that your cold air came down to the coastline here and hit that warm, moist air over the water. And you guys saw snow in Louisiana because of the thermals out here and the thermals out here. And these winds, now this is a different pattern, but back on when that happened in Louisiana, we had this huge ridge that was going way up high into the Arctic and then driving straight down. And like right here, there's the bottom of the loop of the cold air. It's a little further north. Well, it just drooped a little further south than usual. And all because of the, foot deep in in Florida, in the south. And it's going to sound crazy, but with how much moisture you have there, you should expect to have a foot deep snowstorm if cold air gets down there, because you got enough moisture in your air that if any kind of cold air gets blown down that way, shoved down that way, the polar vortex aims it that way, and it's on, baby. You got the water faucet wide open. Somebody has to do is open the freezer door, and the cold air hits that water faucet, and it's on. And that's why you saw all that snow down in Louisiana. We showed you on the tidbits here too. You see these troughs, how low they're digging. We were seeing snow in New Mexico and stuff. If you get a low like this that drops this far south, it's going to pick up moisture from this, and it's going to rotate cold air over and slam them together. But great question. I like good questions. All right, there's your that's your report, your solar report, your astrophysics, your geophysics, and now let's do some metaphysics, or the spiritual report. When I say metaphysics, it sounds all new age, blah, 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 but it's actually the physics of how you work, how you operate, how you were designed, because they didn't teach you that in school. They did not teach you anything of value in school except how to be a good little slave. Now we're going to go to photos really quick here. I got, let's see, boom, right there. Okay, we're pulling up some reading material. Most of you have been to this part of the show, so you know what we're doing. Hi, Jamie. I'm glad you made it here. I enjoy watching your comments in the chat section. You're getting wise, very wise. And I saw some of the advice you were giving and helping people out in the chat rooms. You are a serious player at this game. You are doing it. You're a disciple. You're taking these disciplines and you're applying them. Good job, Jamie. By the way, I saw that. Where'd my YouTube sticker go? Oh, we have to take the long way, but that's okay. Everybody can take a breath, nice deep breath. Exhale, relax. Get caught up with me at the channel here, the moment. Okay, be in this moment, not tripping about the future or the past. Just be with me right here, right now, while we do this. Oh yeah, Brian, I'm still shocked how dancing to sleep around. Yeah, they still make excuses. Angel wings. When I was a ufologist, I would show them the most crystal clear images, and they still wouldn't believe it. Some people will see it with their own eyes and go into what I call denial. They just go right to denial. It's like it's a protection mechanism in your brain, so you don't get too scarred or whatever. So when you see something that doesn't make sense, it's outside your scope. It's outside the normal. It's paranormal. The paranormal has a tendency to do that to people. Okay. All right, so we're getting our images pulled up here. Let's go theater on that one. Okay, just pulling up some images for reading. Let's see. Yeah, everybody kind of loses interest. Well, because you know when your interest peaks is when you have your own personal experience. That's when all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to look more into this now because I thought it was just like UFOs, just like this, the spiritual report. A lot of people don't believe it until they see it, right? Okay, we got that one. Let me pull up the moon. That this is, an elaborate hoax. Yeah. Boy, that's a good hoax. How'd they get my face the size of the moon out by the moon? That's a pretty good hoax. Or else it's not a hoax and it's the real deal. You're looking at the real deal there. Same with these. These are real pictures I took on April 17th of 2020 when this happened in the sky over my town. Okay. And the weird thing about this is, dang, I recognize my face again. Just like this one, I recognize my face here. You can't see it too well. It's kind of blurry right here. I don't really care about that image. It's this one that we're worried about right here. Okay. But these faces in the clouds following me everywhere I go, all of a sudden changing into my face in the clouds now, and all kinds of wonderful miracles happening everywhere I go. Pretty cool stuff. What's weird is not many people want it. It's like the lottery. Here, I'm giving you the winning ticket to the lottery, and nah, it's all good. Whoops, I'd rather be poor. Hang on, we crashed. Oops. We're supposed to be looking for something. Sorry, tripod setup going here. All right. Got our images pulled up and get the light back on. Oh, good. Thank you for the 5x5. Because we did drop out for a second there, and it's always good to know that you have reconnected with me. We do a lot of reconnecting, don't we, throughout the course of a day. All of a sudden, something comes up and starts to throw you sideways, and you're like, Lord, help me. I'm doing it again. It's happening again. Give me that peace that surpasses all circumstances. Okay, so there's this, and you really worried about the images on this one word, the word strive. Okay, strive. When you're walking your walk, you strive to do it. It's not easy. It sounds easy, but it's hard work. So you have to strive at something that's hard. You can't just like half-ass do something that's really hard, right? So it's striving. That's what it's about. Sometimes we fall, all right? We fall, we make mistakes. It's the fact that you strive to fix the mistake, to learn from it. Everything is very important about striving, okay? So I want you to strive to live more fully in the present, refusing to worry about tomorrow. Now, striving involves devoting serious effort and energy to something. Okay, the definition of striving is devoting serious effort, not just effort to get it done, serious effort and energy. Serious effort, serious energy, serious mindset. I'm serious about these images. I'm serious about this message. You know, that kind of serious. Like a life and death type serious, okay? Striving involves devoting serious effort and serious energy to something. It usually includes struggle, okay? So your striving is a default to struggle. Okay, so there's struggles in the world and you're trying to overcome them, so you have to strive to overcome them. So striving involves devoting serious effort, serious energy to something, and it usually includes your struggle. So you must exert continual effort if you want to live in the present tense in my presence. You guys are actually doing that. You're exerting
continual effort, which is your attention, and you are living present tense in my presence. So you guys are doing fine. Most can't do this. They don't know that you must exert continual effort if you want to live in my presence. I urge you to make me the major pursuit of your everyday life and all the little things that you're doing too. It's essential to resist temptation to worry. The temptation to worry. You have to resist the temptation to worry. You got to accept the fact that you live in a fallen world that's full of sin and struggles, and you will never ever run short of things that can provoke anxiety. However, there's something else. There's a catch. Remember that each day has enough trouble of its own. I carefully calibrate the amount of difficulty that you will encounter on a given day, and I know exactly how much you can handle with my help. And I'm always near, ready to strengthen and encourage and comfort you. Okay? Strengthen, encourage, and comfort. So, when you're feeling anxiety, take a moment, take a few deep breaths, say whatever prayers you need to say to connect with Jesus, and receive the strength, receive the encouragement and courage as well, encourage and courage, and also the comfort. Okay, a lot of times I'm just doing the show for my voice to be out there so you guys can be comforted. I know that I find comfort in a couple of different voices on YouTube. I know some of my family find comfort in this part of the show and in my voice. So it's to strengthen you, it's to encourage you, it's to comfort you. Okay? When you're doing this, when you're sitting at this part of the show and you're listening to me, you are pursuing a close walk with me, which is the best way to live in the present. So keep bringing your thoughts back to me whenever they wander, and return to me joyfully, beloved, and I will take great delight in you, and I rejoice over you with singing. When you're striving, I take great delight in you and rejoice. When you are striving, okay, you're believing, you're receiving, where you're complete, okay, while we wait, okay, you're kind of in the waiting room right now. You already know where your destination is. You're in the waiting room, so we're patiently waiting, persistence during the course of a day to salvage it if you have to several times. That's that pursuing a close walk with me. So when you're overcoming each day, that's the best way to live. Okay. And when you get too wrapped up in the world, bring your thoughts back to me. And I take great delight when you do that. And it relieves your guys' stress. Give me all your stuff, not your houses and stuff. Give me all your issues. Give them to me. You guys keep hanging on to stuff too long, and it's like you're supposed to give that up to Jesus really quick so you can continue on. So now that you're doing this and you guys are pursuing your spiritual walk, now you are ready for anything and equal to anything through your living relationship with me. I repeat, you are ready for anything and equal to anything because you have a living relationship with me. Not a living relationship with a cloud or a ghost. No, with me, a man, got hands, okay, flesh. I am preparing you, and you, if you're practicing these disciplines and you're finding success at them, and you're overcoming your days, then you are ready for anything and equal to anything through your living relationship with me. When you hear that, when you can wrap your mind around the fact that you are ready for anything because you have a relationship with me, that's when you can rest in my presence while I infuse inner strength into you. I'm giving you courage. There's courage building up inside of you. So you can rest while I infuse courage into you. Now, because you are a child of the King of Kings, you are capable of so much more than you realize. To benefit fully from your privileged position, you need to spend ample time with me. So as you relax in my presence, delighting in me and opening your heart to me, I fill you with inner strength, with courage, with hope, with comfort. Okay. To benefit fully from your privileged position, you have to spend ample time and relax in my presence, opening your heart to me so I can fill you with strength. This time spent together, like right now, is not only pleasurable, it is empowering. It is empowering. And I know it's empowering you guys because you're here at this part of the report. You're finding the empowerment because of the time spent together. You're getting to know me. I know everything about you. You don't know me. So you're getting to know me. We're getting to know each other. So we're building a relationship. And that what you do when you build a relationship is get to know each other. So you can trust each other, right? So you can trust each other, right? This time spent together is not only pleasurable, but it is empowering. There is so much to do. It's tempting to rush through your time with me and dive into activities of the day. But just as eating a healthy breakfast helps you function at your best, so does feeding your soul a healthy diet of me. Bask in my word, asking my spirit to make it come alive to you. Asking my spirit to make it come alive to you. Now, the other day, you guys got these wonderful prayers. I love the sincerity. You guys, your prayers are awesome. Some prayers for people that don't believe, kind of hard. But you guys made adjustments, and you started praying to make to make my presence known to them. So instead of praying for them to break their broken leg to be healed, it was I'm praying for them to acknowledge the presence. And that's something that I can answer. You're asking my spirit to come alive in you. Well, you were asking my spirit to come alive in the other people that didn't believe. And therein was the problem. You were praying for somebody that didn't believe, and they can't receive it, they don't believe. But when you pray that I reveal myself to them, oh, now it's going to happen. And it's empowering too. Yep. It's tempting to rush through your day and dive into activities. But just like eating a healthy breakfast, feeding your soul a healthy diet of me is good too. Ask my spirit to make it come alive in you. Savor these words of life. Your living relationship with me helps you approach each new day with confidence. Not scared, with confidence. Ready. You're ready for anything that comes your way. Crazy stuff in the news, you're ready for it. No matter what happens in your personal life, you're ready for it. You got the tools. There's no mistakes anymore. They're all growth opportunities. We've totally changed you. And then back to worrying again. You have to stop incessant worry planning. Okay, we're planning stuff and we're worrying about what we're planning. Is that going to work out? Is that going to work out? Did I get enough of this? Did I get enough of that? Stop with the incessant worry planning. Draw your mind back from the future to the present moment where my presence lovingly awaits you. Seek my here. Change the picture real quick. Okay. Stop your incessant worry planning. Draw your mind from the future, because you're all future tripping. Draw your mind back from the future to the present moment, where my presence lovingly awaits you. Seek my face with a smile in your heart, knowing that I take great delight in you. Talk with me about all that concerns you and the tasks that are weighing you. Call out to me for help. You guys be doing that all the time. Call out to me for help as you set priorities according to my will. Okay, a lot of people are setting priorities according to their will, and then their prayers aren't getting answered. Well, because they're praying outside my will. But if you're praying according to my will, then it's easy to help. Just call out for help. As long as it's according to my will, I can help you. All right? And then keep returning your focus to me and to the work at hand. Inviting me into your activities increases your joy and helps you to be more effective. Effective. You weren't being effective before. Now we're being more effective by inviting me into your activities. Even your boring, mundane grocery shopping, driving through traffic, activities, the smaller, more mundane ones are even the more fun. You just keep going. The more you practice this, the more it sinks in, the better you get at it. Keep returning your focus to me and on the work at hand. Inviting me into your activities increases your joy. So when you need to take a break, remember that I am your resting place also. My everlasting arms are always available to support you and hold you close. Wrong picture for that right here. See that heart right there? When you need to take a break, remember that I am your resting place, that my everlasting arms are always available to support you and hold you close. So, when you relax in my company, waiting with me for a time, this demonstrates genuine trust in me. And as you prepare to return to your tasks, make an effort to include me in your plans. This protects you from worrying. Whoops, what protects you from worrying? Including me in all your plans, even the little ones, the good ones, the bad ones, in all your plans. Even if it's outside the scope of my will, include me in it. Will help you get back to the scope of my will. So, as you prepare to return away from the show, back to the world, make an effort to include me in all your little plans too, because that protects you from worrying. It also helps you stay close to me too and enjoying my presence. That's what it's supposed to be, enjoying my presence, using that as a tool to overcome. And I noticed something forming in the get this zoomed in just a little bit here. There we go. Okay. My everlasting arms are always available to support you and hold you close. What's the closer? I had a closer in here. Yeah. Here we go. This is the closer here. Okay, so we're talking about how you're going from glory to glory to glory in your tribulation, right? You overcome the world once during lunch, all right? You got a glory. But then something happened at dinner and you overcame that. And then later on you went out dancing, something else happened and you overcame that. So 3 times you saved the day that day. You overcame the world 3 different times. And as you do that, you're going from glory to glory in your tribulation. I am training you to not only endure your difficulties, but to transform them into glory. Your pain. If you're, like, say it hurts when you walk. Well, if you walked a mile in pain, you overcame each step. Each step is a miracle, right? Because you're overcoming it. So I'm training you not only to endure your difficulties, but to transform your difficulties into glories. Okay? This is a supernatural feat, and it requires the help of my supernatural spirit. When problems are weighing heavy on you, your natural tendency is to speed up your pace of living. You speed up the pace of living, frantically searching for answers. But what you need at such times is to slow down and seek my face. Okay? We speed up, we try to rush things, and you think that going faster to the finish line is going to get you there sooner, but wrong. You need to slow down and seek my face. You need to invite the Spirit to help you as you discuss your difficulties with me. Imagine if you got caught, you're in trouble and you have to face the music and your dad is like, all right, you're going to be grounded, or you know that there's something coming, right? So you have this tendency to not face it, to put it off, to be fearful of that confrontation. So when problems are weighing heavy on you, your tendency is to speed up the pace. I want you to slow down, seek my face, invite the Spirit to help you discuss your difficulties with me. It's like talking with your dad. It's going to be an uncomfortable conversation until he smiles and says, oh, I knew what you did. You're off the hook. I just wanted to hear you confess it or something, right? So I am training you to not only endure your difficulties, but to transform your difficulties into glories, okay? And when you speed up the pace of living, you need to slow down and seek my face. Invite the Spirit to help you discuss the difficulties with me. Then lay your request before me and wait in expectation. Okay, waiting in expectation means I said a prayer and I'm looking for it to be answered. That expectation, all right? A lot of prayers just get answered and people don't even recognize it. There's no expectation that it would be answered. So lay your request before me and wait in expectation. Some people were healed because you guys were praying for them to be healed. You waited in expectation for it to happen. And then the next week, that news came back that so-and-so was healed. In expectation. Okay, and even though you wait expectantly, I may not answer your prayers quickly. I'm always doing something important in your life, and it's far beyond simply solving your problems. Okay? Your struggles. It's about your struggles. Your struggles are a part of a much larger battle, and the way you handle them can contribute to the outcome with eternal significance. So your struggles are part of a larger battle. The way you handle them, the way you handle your struggles, okay, that's the rules of the obstacle course. It's an obstacle course. You're going to fall. You're going to skin your knee. How well are you going to handle that? So your struggles are part of the larger battle, and the way you handle them contributes to the outcomes with eternal significance. So when you respond to your troubles by trusting me and praying with thanksgiving, you glorify me, and that's a glory. Okay? Moreover, when the practice of praying persistently, how did I write this? Your practice of praying persistently will eventually make a vast difference in you. Okay? Your practice of praying persistently will eventually make a difference in you. And you guys are feeling that difference now, aren't you? You're finally feeling the effects. You're seeing the eventualities. Your practice of praying has made a vast difference in you. And that's created a new person, my loved one, who is crowned with glory. So if you believe me and you practicing these, you're getting crowns of glory, right? You're going from glory to glory in your tribulation. You're my loved one, crowned with glory. Your practice of praying has made a vast difference in you, hasn't it? Not my show. Your persistent praying made the difference in you. You saw these images and you heard the disciplines and you thought, well, whatever, I believe. But then it was when you practiced the disciplines and you changed. It's when you changed that you realized your practice of praying has made a difference in you. And now you have become a child of me, a loved one crowned with glory. Your spirit is being changed by my spirit. And that makes you a child of mine, a loved one. You know, I love you guys, right? So you're a loved one crowned with glory. Pretty cool. Not every YouTube show can do that, can crown you with glory or make you my loved one. Only I can make you my loved one. That's a whole different, yeah, we can't go into that. So that's the closer for tonight. A whole other one's a different lesson. So you guys are doing it. You're really doing it. You're taking these disciplines, you're applying them in your life, and you're finding peace that transcends your circumstances. The bad headlines come up in the news, it's scaring all the rest of the world, but yet you're still kind of calm. And you're like, whoa, how am I calm? Like, well, I guess it's because I'm doing the practices, I'm doing the disciplines, and I'm not rattled. But then you think it's, just normal or something until you see somebody who has no disciplines and who's rattled. 3/4 of the world is losing their mind right now. They're so worried about the economy's going to collapse, the world's going to go. Is it the asteroid? Is it the sun? Is it this? Is it that? No, it's this right here. This is what you should be worried about. This is what you should be rattled about. Not you as believers, but as the world. This is the biggest headline ever. Except for maybe 2,000 years ago, but they didn't have newspapers back then. This is earth-shattering. This dwarfs any story in the news. It takes every story in the news and turns it into a freaking cartoon. Sorry, but I'm frustrated. This is what you guys have, okay? You have the bigger picture. You have the bigger perspective on this world. You can see through the liars. When they say something and you can see add that one to the list. You can see through all kinds of stuff. And unfortunately, you can see through some of your loved ones, your family members, and it's heartbreaking when you realize that they're not on board. And that's where your disciplines come in. That's where you guys got to practice that and don't give up, okay? Your belief will be rewarded. It's already being rewarded. And you're starting to see those rewards in your life already. And you're gaining strength. You're gaining strength, courage, and hope, peace. And when you're talking with other people, you're passing that on to them. They're getting that courage, hope, and peace in these times when it just doesn't seem like it's attainable. It just doesn't seem like it's attainable right now, but it is. Through this practicing these disciplines makes you a disciple. And once you got experience, well, that makes an expert. And then when something comes up in your life, you automatically go to a prayer. It's not denial. It's not forcing it to be your way. You just go right into prayer, you surrender, and all of a sudden something better comes up anyway. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'm glad that worked. Okay. A lot of this stuff takes a minute to set in. Okay. You won't not necessarily feel the effects on your first prayer or your first thing. It takes practice. And it's once you become experienced, you become an expert at your prayers. It's seeing them answered and then recognizing, hey, I prayed about that earlier. That's an answered prayer. Thank you for the answered prayer. Oh man, all day long I'm praying for little things during the course of the day, and then 3 minutes later it happens. Thank you, answer prayer. Help me get through this traffic, Lord. These people are all over on their cell phones. It's snowing. People are sliding off the road while looking at their phones. Please, Lord, if I could just make it through this next intersection. And make it through the intersection. Thank you, Lord. Whew. Still in one piece. It can be done that way in little tiny increments throughout the course of your day. When you need to get out of the physical world and back into your spiritual boots, take a break, take a couple of deep breaths. Jesus, help me. We got this going on, or your prayer. You guys are really just doing perfect. Just keep going forward. Okay, it's an obstacle course. You're gonna get scraped up. You're gonna get dirty, and it's all about striving. Striving. You know, we're sinners on this planet. Okay, you can't escape it. You try to stop sinning in this area of your life, another one pops up. So there's always constantly something that these tools must be used. Okay, so you're constantly going through something. When you understand that you're in a fallen world, let me just kind of put it more like this way. Imagine if you were born in a prison of death row. Okay, all kinds of death row inmates, and you were born in that prison and you've never seen the outside. The food would be the best food in the world. That view out of your cell would be the best view you've ever seen because you've never seen anything else, right? The security of your cell keeps all the other cellmates from getting to you, so you find security behind the bars, so it becomes comfortable. Well, you were born in a prison. This is a fallen world, so this is a prison, basically, full of other inmates, and you're living in a fallen world. So you can expect to have tribulation, adversity in your life. It's overcoming that adversity while going through your tribulation that you get a glory and a glory and a glory. And that's how it works. When you grasp that concept and you just apply, it's a really simple concept. They're just hard to apply. There's so many distractions going on in the world, so many headlines. All it takes is one ad on YouTube, and I'm gone. You forgot all about me already. There used to be a knock-knock joke, and I'd be like, knock, knock, and you'd say, who's there? First I'd ask you, would you remember me tomorrow? Of course you would. Would you remember me in 5 years? Yeah. Would you remember me in 10 years? Yeah. Knock, knock, who's there? Well, see, you forgot me already. That's how quick it happens. Knock, knock, who's there? Your attention has been diverted to something else. When that something else becomes too much for you, divert your attention back here, okay? Take a few deep breaths. Look at the big picture and realize that your circumstances are minuscule. They're tiny. Your circumstances are the test. So don't pray away your adversity. Pray for help and strength walking through it. Okay, we don't go around the fire, we go through the fire. We don't go around the obstacle course, we go through the obstacle course. Okay? Because if you went around the obstacle course and made it to the finish line and they were handing out medals, they'd be like, oh, you went around. You don't get a medal because you went around the obstacle course. No, you got to go through it. Okay? Because every obstacle that you strive to overcome makes you stronger. It's progress. Progress, progress, progress. Perfection is when your progress includes this. Then you're having perfection. Okay? So, progress, not perfection. All right? Well, we'll make perfection out of it. Okay? But it's not on your performance. It is your willingness, your striving. Your willingness, your striving That's where the strength that comes to give you the strength you need in your circumstances. So striving, knowing that you're striving in this direction. Okay, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to sin. You're stuck in a world of sin. I know you're going to sin. I know you're going to stumble. I want to see you get back up and keep striving. I want to see you keep practicing these disciplines until it brings peace, joy, happiness, and strength in your life. And you will find that peace, that strength, that hope, that joy that transcends all your circumstances. It really does. Amazing stuff. I'm just so thankful that it happened to me. The 7 years of not being believed and all that was torture, but I'm still grateful that all this stuff happened to me because I learned so much about human behavior from this, and I could see people's denial. Straight up psychiatrist. My doctor, who's supposed to be helping me, is the one who needs the help. He's the one in denial. So I show him a little bit of this and a little bit of that, show him a couple of spiritual tricks, and now all of a sudden the psychiatrist isn't crazy anymore. He's retired and enjoying his life. Yeah, see, they had it all backwards. And they thought I was the one that was crazy. I had it all backwards. But boy, did they have an awakening, just like you. Okay? And if at first you don't get it, if it doesn't take effect right away, don't leave until the miracle happens. Okay? Keep striving. You might not see results right away, but if you keep striving, you will make it to the result. If you stop striving, you're not going to make it to the result, right? So we go through the fire, we go through the obstacle course, we strive all the way through the course, growing stronger each day by overcoming the world each day. You're overcoming the world when you overcome your circumstances. You get that right. The guard screamed at you, so what? So what? Don't let the guard in prison ruin your day because he had some nasty thing in his headline. No. You just tell that guard, hey, by the way, I'm a child of God. And you can't touch me. I can help you, though, you know. You'll have that courage, that strength, that hope, and it can't be taken away. No one can take that away. Okay? You're doing it. Your faith has taken you to knowing. You got to have faith in order to see this. I've showed this to my own family members, and they said, that's just a cloud, Brian. There's no face. There's no crown. It's just a cloud. Really? You sure you can't see that, huh? No, they can't. So if you can, that means you got the spiritual eyes. You got the spiritual eyes because of your faith. Your faith is complete. Now you know. And once you know, then you realize you truly are a child of God and the power of your prayers is real. Keep working on your prayers. They don't have to be perfect. They have to be ones that work in a situation where it's needed. Okay? Lord, please, I want that puppy dog. No, not about possessions and objects and stuff. We're praying within the will of God to help others, to help your brother. When you're praying for a fellow Christian, Pam, you're within the will of God. Okay? And when you pray for somebody who does not believe, and you pray, Lord, show yourself to them so that maybe they will believe me later on, then you're aiming in the right direction. Okay? I love you guys. I miss you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't get to you in the last couple of days. There wasn't much activity and data to report on, but it's the fact of my voice and this part of the show. Okay? Real deal. You guys need that peace that transcends your circumstances. And guess what? Even though I got this, I still go through it every day too. Because I'm in that prison too. The guard's yelling at me, and I'm like, dude, don't you know? Oh, you don't. Don't you know that I was innocent and I don't belong in this prison? I'm here to help you. Don't you know that I'm the new warden? Oops. Yeah, didn't you know that? Before you yell at me? Yeah. See, all of a sudden, power's right in your hands. Okay. Remember, you're living in a fallen world, and when it gets to you, you can unplug. You can unplug from those headlines all over MSNBC, TikTok. You guys are, there's so many different avenues for the same story to be played 24,000 times, 24 hours a day. It's always available to rattle you and get you all stirred up. But when you're done, you can unplug from that and come over here, okay? And step out of the physical world into the spiritual world. Get caught up with me in the clouds here. Because when you're caught up with me in the clouds, it takes your mind off of all the other headlines and all the other things that you're worrying about. Right now, you're in my presence. You're relaxed. You understand who you are, your identity in me. Okay, you are now a child of God. You're one of the chosen. There are people asking on the radio, well, many are called, but few are chosen. Few are chosen. Well, if you're here, you're chosen. And that's the joy right there that should transcend all your circumstances going into the future too. Because you're gonna see a finish line. You are struggling in this. You're striving in the obstacle course. There's like a bib with a number as a contestant in the obstacle course. You have a contestant number. A lot of people don't. They're not in the obstacle course. They're on the outskirts as observers, watching you struggle, fall down, get up. They're laughing. You're dumb. What are you doing? You believe that stupid man in the cloud stuff? But you know better. You just keep striving. You put up with those insults, and you have overcome that part of the day, didn't you? Got glory from that one. Then you continue on. Okay. The more you do this, the better you get at it. You will become an expert through experience. That anybody self-proclaimed expert has no experience. You cannot call yourself an expert. You have to experience. That's the root word of expert. So go out there, experience life, have some ups and downs, use this tool however you need to overcome those obstacles. And when it does happen, you will see an answered prayer and you're going to go, hey, this stuff really works. This stuff is great, especially at this time in history. Okay. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. You guys got so much physical world bombarding you that you need to take a break from that and come into the spiritual realm. I'm so bombarded by the spiritual realm, I have to take a break from it and look at some lying, stupid, mundane news headlines to take my mind off the spiritual and to distract my mind into the physical, the opposite of what you guys are doing. I have to do that. That's a new thing for me. Okay, I didn't know I'd have to do that too. But yeah, unplug from the world whenever you need to. This is when you unplug from the world, this is where you plug into. So you unplug from one and plug into another. And that's up to you. When the world has rattled you enough and you need a break, unplug. You can do it any moment you want. You can unplug from my channel too, because sometimes this stuff can be disturbing. Okay, I understand that as well. But you're doing great. You're struggling, you're striving, you're making mistakes, you're learning from those mistakes. Okay? It's not the mistake that I count. It's how you reacted to it. Okay? How you overcame it. And maybe you didn't do a good job. Maybe you failed miserably. It's okay. Just try again tomorrow. We'll perfect it. We'll perfect it sooner or later. Okay? So when you think you failed miserably, don't let that get you down. There were other components in there that you didn't see that you still overcame. Okay? So there is no failure. There is no mistakes. It's all growth. You got nothing to lose, really, and everything to gain. Yeah. And you got a relationship with me, too. So, I think that's about it for tonight. I am exhausted. I got to get some more rest. I haven't caught up on my sleep yet, so bear with me if I sound a little weird tonight. I'm a little tired still, but just keep going forward. Thank you, Lord, for the weariness, because it's the weariness that you use to make us stronger. So you can glory in your weakness. You can glory in your, oh, I failed miserably. You can glory in that because we're going to make it better the next day. You realize where you made the mistake. We make an adjustment. Now it doesn't happen again. Ta-da! No mistake. It was just a lesson. I make all things new. Make all things new. In fact, I make all the music new too. What is disclosure? That's good. That's a good question. They use the term disclosure. Well, disclosure of UFOs and aliens. Well, yeah, but there's something even more important, even more bigger that needs to be disclosed. So the real disclosure ain't going to come from the media. You're going to get the true disclosure right from the horse's mouth. All right, I love you guys. I miss you guys. It's been so much fun to do this. A revealing? Yes, Jamie, I'm revealing stuff. Hopefully you can see what's being revealed here. And keep coming back, Jamie. I love you. I want you to come grasp these concepts so you can have those tools in your toolbox that anytime something goes south during the course of your day or even in your life, okay, don't dwell on the past, learn from it, make corrections, and move forward. Okay, and you guys you're doing it. You're really doing it now. Okay, I want to say I'm proud of you guys, but it's more of I'm thankful that you took a moment to try it and find the results that bring peace to you. That's what I'm thankful for, is your peace and your courage and your hope. Okay? That's what brings me joy, is when I see you guys succeed at this. Okay? It's not an ego thing. Hey, look at me. Look what I found. Look who I am. Who I am makes you who you are. Get that message. Who I am makes you who you are, if you want to be a child of God. That's it for tonight. I love you guys. I miss you guys. Oh, and like a man of my word, I will be back. I told you I would be back. And look, I am back. If you see this face with a crown in the clouds, that's my face coming in the clouds with power and great glory. You are caught up like a good book, a good song, a good YouTube stream. You're caught up with me in the clouds, where we meet in the air of cyberspace. I can't come over to your house and give you a big old hug, but I would love to. So I have to meet my family in the air. There's no other way. I can't come over to your house. You can't come over to my house. So the only way we can meet is in the air. So you come over here, you get caught up with me in the clouds, where we meet in the air of cyberspace, where I have provided a place here at this channel that where I am, you may be also. Anytime you need a spiritual report, see if I've gone a couple of days and you need to hear my voice again, go to an old video. Go to one that you haven't seen and listen to the spiritual report from it. It'll be my voice again. That same soothing comfort, strength, hope. So whenever you need that, you can come over here to this channel. You can go to the Bible. You can go to Scripture. That brings hope, peace, comfort. Okay? Praying takes your mind off the circumstances for a minute. I'll catch myself every once in a while getting, riled up and, all fired up. And God, I'm doing it again. Help me, Lord. I'm doing it again. I'm getting frustrated with these people, and I need to take a break. And whatever you have to do, pull off the side of the road. I'll take a cigarette break and go pray while I'm on my cigarette break and help get back to the presence. Find that peace. So you can go back into the circumstances, back into battle, back into the obstacle course with a positive attitude instead of mad, all pissed off. Freaking obstacle course. Now I'm gonna trip over the next log. And no, cool. I'm a contestant. I guess I'm gonna have to climb over a few logs and we're gonna get a little muddy, but cool. I'm an actual contestant with a bib on with a number on it, while all the other people are just spectators. And they're spectators that are in depression, that are angry, that are scared now because of the circumstances in the world. So they got 3-4 different things bombarding them, and you don't have those 3 or 4 things. You have peace, you have courage, you have hope, because now you know your destiny's sealed. Now you have some real hope to carry on in these tough days, because you know that there's going to be a reward at the end. Imagine trying to go through these days without knowing that there's some kind of reward at the end, that this is all for a reason, for a purpose, and you have no reason, you have no purpose in your life, and you're seeing the world crumble. But this is your opportunity to be that light. So as the world's crumbling, you're growing stronger. It's getting dark, so all these little lights can shine. Okay, it's getting dark in the world, so all my little lights can come out and shine, and all the darkness can see the light. And you'll be shining with a face like that too. And you're going to be a spark of light in this dark world. Okay, and that's what we do. That's what we do. Bring the same hope, courage, and strength that I give to you, you bring into others' lives. Give you comfort, it gives them comfort too. That's how we're doing it. Living rich and full by doing that. Okay? And you guys are really doing it. You're alive, aren't you? You're physically experiencing these things, and you're physically doing them, acquiring knowledge, gaining confidence and trust. Okay? Oh, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. All right. I love you guys. I miss you guys. And until my next show, I will be back. I am a man of my word. Hard to find anymore these days, by the way. Somebody whose word is good, you know, they uphold their word, uphold their oath. So, I miss you guys. Until my next show, I will be back. I'm a man of my word. I told you I would be back. I am already back. Like a thief in the night. Everybody's looking for a certain day and a certain time. Like a thief in the night snuck in the back door 7 years ago. And still, most of the world doesn't even know. 7 years old and they still don't know. But you guys do. All right? And that makes you a member of a very, very royal family that's based on love. Okay? That's it for tonight. I love you. I miss you. Until my next show, I will be back. I am already back. Can't you tell? Bye. Love you all. Bye.